Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the F-105D Thunderchief, giving you all the important details about this plane, including its stats, strengths and weaknesses, how it plays, give you some numerical ratings for how I feel that this thing performs, and then I'll go over whether or not I think that's worth the grind. For a short answer, this is one of my favorite recent additions to War Thunder. For the better answer though, stay tuned to the video. That said, let's get into it. To start, I'll place the Thud stats here on the side of the screen. The stats to note are, well, pretty much all of them, as all of the Thunderchief stats are very noticeable when playing it, more than most if not all other planes in War Thunder. Now for how it plays, the F-105's role is fairly straightforward. It's a fast strike fighter bomber that will almost always reach the enemy's base or bases before being intercepted. With this said, you can easily bring the 16 750-pound bomb loadout and destroy 2 enemy bases, with the possibility of destroying 2 bases with the 14 750-pound bomb loadout while also carrying 4 missiles, but that tends to be a bit more difficult, at least due to the order in which the bombs of the Thud drop. That said, this is pretty much going to be your role in air RB, though of course you can and will get your occasional air-to-air kill. When in trouble, just drop whatever ordnance you have and speed away, as you can and will outrun nearly all enemies. By doing this, you will almost always get 1500 plus points in air RB, as it is extremely rare for me to be killed before I can return to base at least once, with virtually no matches ending in me not destroying at least one enemy base, barring allies that destroy your base because they don't really care about the sacred right of dibs. Now this said, at 9.7 VR, it is extremely favorable and you will not be facing too many top tier planes, so it is an extremely favorable BR, and I found myself routinely down tiered in air RB. Now for ground RB, this plane functions in much the same way. Due to its BR, it won't necessarily face as many high performance planes and high BR missiles, which gives it the ability to slip into and out of combat with the enemy, largely at will due to its speed. In much the same way with air RB, you'll typically only face planes like the G91 and Su-7, of which are very beatable with the F-105D. This said, due to the fact that the Thud has a ballistics computer for both bombs and rockets, you can really choose whatever you'd like and go to town, including using up to 4 AGM-12B or 2 AGM-12C bullpups. As a bonus, you can have up to 3 absolutely massive 3,000-pound bombs, of which will, at very least, totally disable any enemy tanks within hundreds of feet of the drop location. Its cannon can also chew open the roofs of most enemy tanks. If you're planning on any ground attack duties beyond 10.3 VR, however, I would recommend either using a helicopter or an A7D or E, as the pure speed of this vehicle is no match for the versatility and somewhat higher bomb load of the A7s or the capabilities of an AH-64. In both ground and air matches, you need to be fully aware that Thud, at least currently, only has access to chaff countermeasures, which only work on radar guided ordnance, and will also take up ordnance slots on the Thud, meaning that your only real countermeasures against enemy missiles will be your speed and a quick last second turn in order to throw missiles off your tail. And now for its strengths and weaknesses. And for its strengths, it has an incredibly fast straight line speed and also has great acceleration plus an amazing rate of climb. Second, it has an extremely high bomb load capacity with over 3,000 kilograms at max when considering explosive filler, which is among the best at this BR. It can destroy 2 bases when loaded with 14 750-pound bombs if of course they all hit and if you hit them in a specific order. Now third, it has a ballistics computer for both bombs and rockets, which is awesome for ground RB, but also helps greatly in air RB, making it so that you will not miss really almost ever. Fourth, it can carry manually guided ATGMs, which gives an extra capacity for close air support, especially relative to its BR and especially in a down tier. Following that, it can carry chaff countermeasures, but this is probably the weakest of the strengths on this list. For its sixth strength, it has an excellent 20mm cannon that can tear through planes and lightly armored ground targets, as well as the roofs of enemy MBTs. Seventh, it has the ability to carry up to 4 AIM-9E missiles, and finally has an air spawn in air RB. Now for its weaknesses, it has mediocre maneuverability, plus it's a fairly large target, making this plane missile food. Second, carrying chaff and or missiles will typically take away from ordnance capacity, making protection a choice rather than a guarantee, plus chaff do not protect against IR missiles, which are the vast bulk of missiles that you'll be facing around this BR. Third, it eats fuel extremely quickly. Unless on a small map, 20 minutes of fuel is basically necessary. Fourth, though speed is the Thud's strong suit, it may be too fast for some people when it comes to close air support. You need to learn to control your speed with the Thunderchief in ground RB. And finally, it has one of the longest takeoff runs of any plane in game, leaving you extremely exposed if an enemy comes through, and also can make short runways impossible to use. This is even with all the performance upgrades unlocked and attached. And now finally, for my final recommendation. I'll just start by jumping into my ratings for this plane. So for general ground attack, including close air support and base attack in air RB, I give the F-105D a 9.25 out of 10, with an 8.5 out of 10 for close air support and a 10 out of 10 in air RB. While you can make full use of your speed in air RB, it can be a bit too much in ground RB, leading to the somewhat lower though still amazing score. If you're not at very least destroying 1 or 2 bases per match in air RB, once you unlock the 16 750-pound bombs, you need to rethink your strategy. For dogfighting, I'll give the Thud a 3.5 out of 10. It's not that this vehicle does not have good weapons, because it does. It's just that it weighs too much and has too poor of a turning radius compared to MiGs, Harriers, and other common enemies that, barring a sneak attack, a hit and run, or a head-on, you just won't be getting many kills against enemy planes. Otherwise, the AIM-9Es, its 20mm Vulcan cannon, and speed make this a force to be reckoned with if you can hit them before they know that you're there. In ground RB, this is a surprisingly good aircraft at providing air cover from enemy planes, as it does not have the disadvantage of having the giant red box around it like it does in air RB, giving it somewhat of an element of surprise. Now finally, for grinding, I give the Thunderchief a 9 out of 10. If this were a premium, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. It is impossible not to get at least some score in every match that you use with this plane. In fact, the Thunderchief is one of the few planes in War Thunder that I would talisman, even without a sale on talismans, so long at least as it stays at 9.7 BR. With that talisman, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 for grinding. I used it to unlock my F4J in record time, as the reliability of your score output in this plane is unmatched, at least at 9.7 BR, so hopefully they do not change it. That said, I give the F-105D a 9 out of 10 for an overall score, as dogfighting is not meant to be its forte. Thus, I weigh it a little bit less than the other two metrics, and even still, you can and will get air-to-air kills with this, especially against unsuspecting enemies. In all, is the Thud, Thunderchief, F-105, or whatever you'd like to call it, worth the grind? Yes, unbelievably so. This went from one of my most anticipated planes to one of my favorite planes almost instantly. It can and will do it all, and is your best friend when grinding top tier, especially if you purchase a talisman for it. I love this plane and use it for fun because of how effortless it is. Does this mean that you'll win every match that you join? No, but you will almost never be the reason why you lose. In fact, based on my stats alone, I have about 2 times the SL earned in my F-105 compared to the F-5E in air RB, despite playing less than half the matches and having a lower win-loss ratio compared again to the F-5E, which goes to show how good of a grinder this plane can be. Whether it's air RB or AB, or ground RB for close air support, you will almost certainly fall in love with the Thud. You need to make this one of your priority planes. It makes grinding the American bomber tech tree worth it. In short, stop what you're doing and get the Thud. That is all. That said, thanks so much for watching. Please, as always, like, comment, and especially subscribe. But with that said, thank you all again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.